how do you make what you're doing so effective? Because when I first started using the techniques, the Chinese energetics techniques that I was learning from you, I noticed that I was getting really strong, fast corrections with my clients, and they were noticing it, and I was noticing it. And more recently, I would say particularly within the last week or so, maybe last week or 2 weeks, I've noticed that I'm having to work a lot harder to get clients toward neutrality, and I'm not always able to get them to neutral or to zero on an issue in the sessions, like they're still holding on to something. So I've been correcting myself for reacting to that, or not being satisfied with that. But I've also been wondering if there's something else that I could be doing that would be making the corrections, the deletions more effective. That was really the question.
Okay, so in that case, let's talk about it. It's people have deeper issues, so you have to go deeper to correct those issues. And from the classes that you took the other time, it's really about following the weakness, following for strong versus weak. And you have the 5 categories. You could go through them, and then whatever the leading weakness is, you follow that. And then as you are, you could ask yourself how much percent of that is corrected. Is it 25%, 50%, 75, 100? And you could feel for each of these numbers for strong or weak. And from there you decide to keep correcting or not correct. Sometimes it's a combination of mental, emotional, psychological, and it's not just one category. So when you look at the combination of the categories, then you feel for the strong versus weak on that. And then in class 2, we talked about the Pentagon effect. So with the Pentagon effect, you can look at the combination of variables we just talked about within the ancestors, within the descendants. So sometimes it could be emotional issues from your ancestors. It could be mental issues with your descendants. It could be a variety of variables that's affecting the people. So yes, in the beginning you will have you could clear out layers faster, but as you continue to work with them, they will become probably a little more challenging because the big chunks of non-neutrality has been corrected, so that you have to go deeper. Really look for where the weaknesses are to continuously get better results. So that's how to look at the situation that you're currently in. Does that help with your...
That's very helpful. Yeah, that's very helpful. I understand that.
Right. So that's kind of why, you can do fast corrections like the way I teach it. People are going to be more neutral after you work with them, and then that's why sometimes when I work on people, even though they feel better, I still keep working on them. Just because they didn't mention it, you could go in and correct it for them. And then as you correct it for them, you can actually ask them, if this hypothetical situation comes up, how do you feel about that? And then they should say, they should be like, I used to feel bad about it, but for some reason, it's not bothering me right now. So this is kind of a way to work with type of issues. So
yeah,
does that help?
Yes, that's very helpful. It makes sense because now that you mention it, I have had several clients saying that they're shocked by the deeper issues that have been coming up in the recent sessions because so much has been cleared out, and now things that they weren't even conscious of or they'd forgotten long ago are coming up for clearing. So there's that, which is very wonderful, and I'm getting great feedback. But at the same time, what I wanted to ask you about was what you just discussed about when you have to go deeper. It may be a little harder and more challenging to uproot stuff because it's so connected to many other things. So yeah, that's, I guess, what I needed to hear. So I really appreciate that. But I want you to know that I do highly value your work and your teaching. You're